Hey guys, it's Kit here with another video about living in Costa Rica. After spending a year teaching ESL in San Jose, I found some really great things and some not so great things. So this list of 10 things is going to cover the good, the bad, and the quirky. So if you're thinking about living in Costa Rica, I hope you'll find this video useful. First up, one of the most peculiar things about Costa Rica is there are no addresses. Locations are spoken of in relation to one another. So for example, if you apply for a bank account, you can write down for your address, house with green roof 200 meters west of the bank. Now the problem is, what if you don't know where the bank is? Well, it's 100 meters west of the bakery. Well, what if you don't know where the bakery is? So as you can see, it can be quite confusing to explain to people where a location is. I was on a bus one time on my way to an ESL class and it had accidentally sideswiped another car. I could remember the driver trying to explain his location. He was screaming into the phone, "I'm 100 meters east of the church." "No, not that church. I'm 100 meters west of the park." "No, not the park with the fountain, the park with the statue." So this crazy scene just kept going on and on. One of my students was explaining to me that even if a landmark doesn't exist, they'll still use it as a reference for a location. So somebody could tell you that the restaurant is 200 meters south of the old hotel. He was also explaining to me that they are starting to put building numbers up, and there is a system of addresses that's rolling out. But the problem is people are really slow to adopt to this new way of thinking. So if you do decide that you want to live in Costa Rica, the good thing is Google Maps does work. One huge misconception about Costa Rica is that things are cheap down there, but that's not the case. If you look at the prices of things like shampoo, potato chips, tennis shoes, peanut butter, fast food, anything, you'll see that the prices are about what you would pay in Mid-America or higher. There are local equivalents to some of these products, but mostly you're gonna find foreign products on the shelves. A lot of Costa Ricans don't know how expensive their country is until they travel for the first time to another country and find out how cheap goods are in other places. Goods may be expensive, but traveling around Costa Rica is actually quite affordable. You can find really good cheap fares from San Jose to just about anywhere in Costa Rica. For example, you can get from San Jose to Manuel Antonio in 4 hours for $16 round trip, or you can go from San Jose to La Fortuna for about $9 round trip. All of these prices definitely fit the budget of an ESL teacher's salary. And once you get to these places, you can find a lot of great hotels that are local, Airbnbs, and hostels for fairly cheap. For me, the hardest part to adjust to while living in Costa Rica was just how there was a little bit of craziness in how everything operated. So for example, Aaron and I bought tickets for a 6:30 a.m. bus to go to the beach one weekend. And we got to the station at 6 o'clock and there was a bus sitting there with our destination written on it. And we asked if that was our bus, and the workers told us, no, that's not your bus. So we waited and that bus left and another bus arrived. And this one had our destination on it as well. And we asked if this bus was our bus, and they replied, "Oh no, yours had just left." So after some complaining, we were finally allowed to go on the second bus. But this kind of, wait, what's going on here? What just happened? Moment was common in so much of my experiences in Costa Rican life. Here's another example. If a sign in front of a theater says showtimes are Sundays at 5 and you go online to buy tickets and it says showtimes are Sundays at 6, things like that happen in Costa Rica. If you tell a waiter you were brought the wrong order and they say, "Hey, it's the same thing," that happens. If you email a hotel and tell them the dates you need for 2 people and they reply asking for what dates and for how many people, that happens. I could go on and on with similar stories like that. People love the laid-back nature of Costa Rica, but when it's so laid back like that, sometimes figuring out very basic daily tasks can be so confusing. I was complaining to a teacher about this, and she had been there for 5 years and she absolutely loves Costa Rica. She was saying to me, "You know, you just can't fight it. That's just how Costa Rica operates. It is what it is." Those were definitely some wise words. But I think for this crazy reason, I don't think I could live in Costa Rica forever. But On the other hand, a lot of teachers love it and they've lived there for many years. Usually when you think of products from Costa Rica, you think agriculture, but tech and medical manufacturing all are pretty huge industries down there as well. In fact, medical device manufacturing is Costa Rica's biggest export. So companies like Amazon, HP, Baxter, Medtronics, where I taught some classes, all have a footprint in Costa Rica. And what that means is there's a high demand for learning English in Costa Rica. Walking around San Jose, you'll see ESL institutes and academies and schools everywhere you go. So if you're looking for a job in San Jose teaching ESL, there's plenty of jobs to be found. One of my first experiences in Costa Rica was grabbing an Uber from the San Jose airport. When the Uber arrived, I was about to hop into the back seat, but the driver said that I needed to ride in the front seat. And then he said if the cops pull us over, that I should say that I was his friend. Another time that I grabbed an Uber from the airport, the driver texted me in the app and asked if there was security around. And you know, it's the airport. And I said, yes, there is security. So he canceled on me and I had to find another Uber to come and get me. So it turns out that Uber is illegal to operate in Costa Rica. And the reason you ride in the front seat is so that you look like you're a buddy and not a client that they're picking up. But the crazy thing is everyone is always using Uber. During the year that I was there, I remember there were several strikes where the taxis would just park in the middle of the streets, blocking traffic in protest. I don't want taxi drivers to lose their jobs, but I just don't think ride-hailing apps are going anywhere anytime soon. Statistically speaking, Costa Rica is one of the wealthier and safer countries in Latin America, but that doesn't mean it's not without its own problems. I remember the first week that I was there, one of the students in my classes had told me that he was going to be moving apartments the coming weekend because he was just robbed and he didn't feel safe living there anymore. And within the first month of being in Costa Rica, my boyfriend was mugged and had his phone stolen from him. One of my coworkers was held up at a bus stop with a knife, and another teacher had been waiting at a bus stop with some other people and she was held up at gunpoint. In both stories, everyone was safe, but they had their things stolen from them. All throughout my year in San Jose, unfortunately, these stories were more common than not. When people ask me if I felt safe in San Jose, I always tell people that during the daytime when it was bright outside, when there were a lot of people around, I always felt 100% safe. But if you're walking around at night, I would say definitely avoid dark streets, definitely avoid places where there aren't any people, because throughout San Jose, there are a lot of little bad pockets dotted all throughout. I think Costa Rica has a lot to offer, and I don't think you should let these stories deter you from giving Costa Rica a chance and living there. But if you do decide to live there, just make sure to keep in the back of your mind that things like this do happen. On a brighter note, when we found our apartment in San Jose and started exploring the neighborhood, we found that we were surrounded by so many gay bars and clubs. We couldn't believe that San Jose had so many party options for the gay community. It had more gay bars and clubs than most cities in the US. I remember in June, I was catching the Pride Parade and hanging out in the gay bars in El Centro. And just recently, Costa Rica legalized gay marriage. One of the best things about summer in the US is having so much daylight towards the end of the day. But when you get to Costa Rica, it's not like that at all. Even though it's warm all year round, the sun sets pretty much every day at around 6 o'clock. For me, I wasn't prepared to have these winter hours throughout the whole entire year, even though it's warm in Costa Rica. The hours of sunlight also don't change because Costa Rica is right by the equator. So that means the sun sets about 5:30, 6 every night as well. I remember my first morning that I was there, I had a job interview in person for the first time at 11 in the morning. And that morning when I woke up, I was so startled because it was so bright outside that I thought I had missed my job interview. But when I looked at the clock, it was actually only 8 o'clock. So if you're in Costa Rica and you want to sleep in, make sure you get some shades, and also just be prepared to have the same exact amount of daylight hours that end at around 6 o'clock every night. In San Jose and all over Costa Rica, you'll find these little restaurants called sodas. And in these sodas, the most typical dish you'll find are casados, which is usually a protein, some rice and beans, maybe plantains, and different side veggies. And then at each table in these sodas, there's a jar of spicy, yummy goodness called chilera. It's made of hot chilies and a variety of other veggies, all soaked in a tangy vinegar. Oh, it was so good that Aaron and I would put it all over everything. It even got to the point where we were making our own chilera at home for our own meals. This is probably my favorite slice of Costa Rican life that I've taken back home with me to the US. So there you have it, my top 10 list of surprising things that I found out about Costa Rica while spending a year there. My year was filled with a lot of highs and lows, but overall it was an unforgettable experience. If you found this video useful in helping you decide if you want to live in Costa Rica as well, I hope you'll give it a like and hope you'll check out my other videos. So until next time, I will see you later. Bye!